Good morning. In the first book of John, chapter 1 and verse 5, it says that God is light and there is no darkness with him at all. So that's the theme of my video this morning. However, it's meant mostly for Watchtower because as it says in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 11, you must have no share in the sterile deeds of darkness. You must rather expose them. That's from Barclay's translation. So I wish to expose some of Watchtower's darkness today. And I need to go back to the 1st century. And Watchtower believes that the first slide into apostasy was the division of the clergy class and the laity. There was a group of elders in each congregation. One man took over the headship and he became known as the bishop. The others were named as presbyters and later on as priests. So there was a big division between this dominating clergy class and a passive laity. So we come to the Reformation in the 16th century. And Watchtower acknowledges that some of this was good. And we have here pictures of Calvin and Luther. And the advantage of the Reformation was that you got the Bible in the vernacular, so you could measure up the church with the Bible and find that it didn't match. Now, Watchtower says that the problem with the Protestant Reformation was this, that the basic division of the church into a dominating clergy class and a subjugated laity was retained. The laity were passive. So let's look at Watchtower's history on this. We come to the 1970s, whereas before there was just one man who was congregation elder and the rest were servants. Watchtower arranged for bodies of elders to take over the congregation. Now millions were joining the organisation at this time, but they had to be controlled. So Watchtower started sending out secret letters to this body of elders. And we come to 1975, of course. Now this was the real slide into darkness, because in 1977 you get the first secret elders book. Now, according to Ephesians 5 and verse 10, it says you must submit everything to the test of the approval of the Lord. Now, ordinary members of the organisation couldn't test this elders book because they weren't allowed to read it. Many didn't even know it existed. So suddenly you've got this group of elite men who belong to a secret society, and you've got a huge division between the clergy of the elders and the laity who were just minions, really. So it wasn't just the elders book that was the problem. You also had secret elders videos, training videos, secret elders meetings in which they were given extra rules which were not written down. This was all done to avoid legal complications. But it's darkness, Watchtower. It's darkness. You're hiding things from ordinary members who have a right to know what's going on. The reason being that they are affected by what goes on in the elders' secret meetings and so on. Now, for instance, the elders have little group meetings in the back room in which they are allowed to slander and gossip about members of the congregation, and it's all under the heading of confidentiality. But what a poor person doesn't know is that if the elders have two witnesses against a certain person, that person is decided to be guilty without any checking whatsoever. The elders invite that person to a judicial hearing. That person thinks he has a fighting chance to defend himself, but what he doesn't know is that he is already guilty. And he can't defend himself because the elders won't tell him what he's accused of. It's all done to avoid legal cases. They might hint at what you're accused of. So you go blind to this meeting, and of course you get disfellowshipped because you haven't done what they're saying that you're guilty of. So you decide that you'll appeal. What you don't know is that the appeal committee discussed this matter in secret with the original committee, so they're prejudiced. So Watchtower, I have to say that this is dire darkness. I have measured up your elders' secret matters, all of them, with the scriptures, and I have found it wanting, badly wanting. So you must repent and change your ways. Stop all this secret nonsense. It's darkness, it has nothing to do with God. Now, for others who might be watching this, it's very difficult to keep your faith in the face of these things, but please don't lose your faith. Jesus said that this might happen. In Matthew 24, he was talking about the faithful slave, and he said that some slaves could turn to darkness, they could turn to cruelty and start beating their fellow slaves. So don't be amazed that it has happened. So for those who wish to retain their faith, please do so. Please read the scriptures and stay in the light of God's goodness and love. So thank you so much for watching this morning.